We're the Wildlanders Off-grid, a family homesteading in remote, rural Portugal. We left our city lives behind to connect with nature and live a more sustainable lifestyle. From growing our own food to learning how to build our own tiny house. Follow our journey as we build a new life for ourselves. Welcome back to the Wildlands,
where we're on day 26 of our 40-day homesteading challenge, which is a challenge that we've set for ourselves to see how many chores and projects we can achieve and finish and accomplish in 40 days.
Yep. So the idea of the 40-day homesteading challenge was it was to motivate us particularly to do the jobs that we've been putting off, either because they were unpleasant jobs or jobs that were going to take a long period of time. So things like the toilet base that we're currently sat on, we've been putting that off for about 3 years, haven't we? So that went on the list, and we've set ourselves a 5-day challenge on the toilet, which Missy will tell you more about in a minute. Because first, just to remind you what our challenges are and were, and where we're at for those of you who are new to the channel.
So far we have set out a new nursery bed area for our nursery, which is a little plant business. We've built shade structures and started putting plants out there, having prepared the beds.
We went back into Rosie's off-grid cabin and we put the stairs in, which was a job that we were definitely putting off because neither of us had any experience in that kind of carpentry, let alone building stairs. That's finished, we're really pleased with those.
Also in the cabin, we plastered the cracks between the plasterboards and sanded them down.
We did.
No experience of that either.
No, absolutely. So the plastering is all finished downstairs.
We went into our shade house area, which is where we hang out. It's like a living room, but outdoors and sort of open-sided. We put ourselves a new roof on, which increased the size of that area, and that then necessitated a new flue for our fire so we don't get smoky wood burn at the time.
And then we went back in there a week or two later to put up shelves because it's our only vaguely dry area for storage. So we had too much storage and not enough storage facilities, so the stuff was piled up everywhere. And we demoused it because we had a mouse problem in one of our kitchen cupboards. That's all done.
We had an open day for our nursery.
We did, and we had people visiting who bought lots of lovely plants off us.
So we spent lots of time tidying up the nursery. We put some perches up in the chickens area.
We did.
They've been waiting for that for a couple of years.
So chuffed.
Yep, and I sowed some seeds, and I might just take you down there in a minute and show you how the seeds are getting on because you haven't seen that. They're growing really well. I'm really pleased with that, and that's for the chickens to eat eventually once we've moved the protective covering off of it.
But for today, probably one of the most exciting jobs in our 40-day homesteading challenge is we're building our outhouse toilet block, which is going to be a long drop compost toilet.
So having put in the base, which is posts concreted into the ground, which is going to hold the whole thing up and off the ground. And we've done the sort of surround that we're sitting on, and now we have to build the walls. So and put the floor joists in.
Essentially, because we're on stilts, which is because it's a long drop toilet and we needed the height at the back for the drop, the foundations are done. So now it's the exciting bit. So we've got a couple of floor joists to put in a minute, which have already been cut to size. And then we're going to reuse the floorboards that have been outside in the elements from the old cabin build that you saw me dismantle last week or the week before. Show you a bit of that footage there. So we're going to reuse those floorboards, which are currently piled up to my right, your left. And that's why we want the joist this way. So basically, let me show you those. So we've got a lot of those, enough to do this, but too short to do much else with. So by putting the long joists in, these can then go that way along. Some of them are broken, but we can get around that because they tend to be broken at the end, so we can cut according to where the broken bit is. That's going to be a challenge because they've been out in the sun for the whole of the summer and out in the rain for the whole of last winter, so they're weathered. They're weathered. As you can see, they were painted this golden brown, which was underneath, and they've gone this.
But it's only a
dark.
toilet.
It is only a toilet, but it's you know, the whole part of these particular projects also was to spend as little money as possible because we're very skint, so we want to reuse stuff. So this is a prime example.
I'll tell you something else that's a great example. We have a little window that we bought for Rosie's cabin from one of the local hardware shops, and it's really cute, little dinky window, and it opens, slides, but when we unpacked it we found that it had what you call that wobbly glass.
Yeah, it was a bit
frosted glass. So it's a privacy window. It's supposed to be for bathrooms, and Rosie was not at all impressed with that.
No.
So we had to go and get her a different one, which has been installed already, and now we have this spare.
So we can get cracking. Let's get the joists on, and then we can get the floor on. And then once the floor is on, we can stop for a beer.
Tea. Hot tea. It's a foggy day today.
It's supposed to be sunny. Look at the weather.
It's supposed to be sunny. Slight change of plan to our design. Because we wanted the floor to be as sturdy as possible, we've put these an equal distance across the floor. That then means that we can't have the whole two-seat design, but we've decided it's not really so much of a big deal. So we can still have two barrels underneath. One is just in waiting. So this front one will be underneath the toilet seat, and when it's full, we'll be able to slide out and put it somewhere else. Into this cupboardy area that we're going to build at another time, and then you bring the next empty one forward, and I'll be doing that from doors in the back cupboard here, and then when that one's full we'll do the same, and so on. So it's going to be a one seat, one barrel at a time situation.
So we've got the joists in now. Mrs. told you about a one barrel situation, so the next tiny little job is we're going to need to paint these and the tops of these where it's rained with wood preserve, and then as soon as that's done, get onto the floor. That'll be done super double quick, I think.
Yeah, we'll get the floor done today.
Yep. Right, so the next job is to put the floor on. We've decided to keep the gold side, which was the underside of the old wood, the top side being a darker sort of faded weathered look that's been in the sun, and we're going to have both sides sticking out, and then we're going to buzz it off with the skill saw at the end to get the sides nice and straight for all of them. So we're going to screw them in at the edges, which I know is a carnal sin on tongue and groove floorboards, but they lift so badly here, and in the winter they expand and in the summer they shrink radically. So we're going to screw them in strategically, which is what we've done in the cabin. That worked very well. So lots of mallets because they're all bent, so let's get going. So the floor's on, just got a skill saw off the second side, and then we can start on the walls.
Yeah.
Where you think the wall, where it comes to here?
No, I've measured it out, so it's roughly where this black line is. So the wall's going to be there. It's 1.25, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes to about there. So all of that is veranda.
Nice. Okay, we don't fall down the hole.
I know about the hole. You could, obviously there'd be another step there, and you step on your veranda and you can get hold of the door, which would be there-ish, and swing it out that way. And then that leaves you lots of room to come in and shut the door behind you, and then you'd be sitting on the toilet round about there-ish.
Yeah. So
loads of room, and then a little window there. Hello!
So that's the end of effectively what we're calling day 2 of the 5-day toilet challenge, building the outhouse. So we got the front wall done, which is this one, and that's the hole for the door. So that's that one, and then this one leaning up here is the back one. So tomorrow we'll put that one on first on the back, hold it in place with some guide bits of wood, put this one on the front, hold that in place with some guide bits of wood, and then we'll join the two together. So actually not too much to do getting those up tomorrow. And then if our maths is correct, we've got a 10 centimetre or so drop for the roof. So good day's work. Knackered now I've got to go wash up, drink lots of beer and have dinner. Welcome back, and it's day 3 of the long drop toilet build. And as you can see, we've got our very tall back wall on, which Missy's holding up with the spirit level. and I've only put 2 screws in at the bottom to hold it up, and you'll note it's super high, so the unit is going to look a bit odd, a bit like the cabin, which was also very high. And the reason is that we want to put cupboards inside above where Mrs. Head is, so that we can store sawdust for the composting and toilet rolls and towels and so on and so forth. So we're just going to put a scrap piece of wood in to hold that in place, and then we can get the front wall up. Because the building is so short, it's like 125 square, so 4 foot square, we're not going to make a separate rectangular wall to fit on the sides. We're just going to join the bits together. God knows how I'm going to reach up the top. Made myself a little pretend toilet here, just so I've got some blocks to sit on, and then if I position myself there, pretend I'm on the crapper without falling off. We're going to put the little window's going to go at this height, which obviously means it's not poo with a view, whereas we've also got a really big window that I've decided to put in on this side, give us this lovely view across the rolling hills at the side of the Wildlands, so then it'll be poo with a view. So we're going to put in the bits of wood here, get the windows ready to go in. That's our next chore. So that's the end of day 3. So we got the window frames all ready to go. So tomorrow morning we're going to put the OSB on here.
It's the beginning of day 4. We made really good progress yesterday. We're very happy about it. And today we're going to try and get as much as we can finished off with the structure. So we've got our spaces for windows. Are they going to get fitted today? We've got to put a roof on, which involves joists. Will that go on today? And we've got OSB to go on the outside to make the walls. I don't know if that's going on today either.
And before we start, I just wanted to show you the inside of what will be our long drop toilet, which is this blue contraption. So basically that will sit below the toilet seat, and as you can see you've got 2 sections, which is unlike a traditional toilet. And the first section basically takes your urine, it will go down a pipe into a banana circle somewhere down there, which we'll build at a later date, and the second section will sit over the box, which is your long drop section, which will take your number 2s into the colour-coded blue barrels.
Called a separator.
Called a separator. So yeah, a couple of you have asked about how that works. So these are available online as separate pieces, eBay, Amazon and so on. There's lots of dedicated companies making compost long drops if you don't want to build your own. But when we get to that section of the build, we'll show you how to build it so you can make one for your van, house, outhouse, yard, off-grid place or whatever. Right, this is the biggest challenge of the whole build because we're using wood that we've previously used on other things. We've got 4 sheets of leftover OSB from Rose's cabin build, and typically they are 2 centimetres thick, so they're really, really heavy. So we've put noggins, as I always call them, on the bottom here so that we can use that to sit them on until these are attached. And it's going to be very difficult because A, they're very heavy to lift, but also then we've got to get them on here and we've got to get this up at that angle. And it's 2.5 metres high and we're 2 metres off the ground, so it's going to be interesting.
Okay. Jesus Christ on a crank. Oh, we can just do it anyway.
Yeah. So you got it so it doesn't fall off. We don't have a hammer right now, we do. Okay, can I let go?
Yeah.
We're going to have to do it by hand. So, is that too much? Yeah, that's good.
That went up much easier than I thought it was gonna.
guess what? We've screwed up the OSB. We've not made a hole for the window. While Missy was cooking yesterday, I cut out the hole for the window. So we kind of made a mistake because we were going to cut the hole out first, and it was very hard to cut the hole out. I had to use a reciprocal saw, which was not easy, but it actually turned out to do a better job, or certainly be an equal quality job than just doing it before you put it up, because OSB is quite hard to cut with a jigsaw. You don't get a very straight line. So it's straight enough because all of this, where it's not straight, will be covered with smart pine. So for this window going in here, that one, we're going to do the same thing. So we're just going to put the OSB here, and then I'm going to drill holes in the corners, mark it out with a ruler, and then cut it with the saw. Job done. Where are we at, Missy?
We have 4 walls on, we have 2 windows in, the floor's all done. We're at the point where we have to put the roof on.
So are we on target?
Yeah?
I think we're probably a little bit ahead of target.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Depending how long it takes to get the roof on. So we've got 1 more day effectively in time. So if we do half a day or a couple of more hours to get the roof on, we were going to make a door out of nice bits of pine, but we've decided as the hole is a perfect fit, we're going to use the OSB for the door. And part 2 of the build, which is ahead, another 5 days of the build, will be to shingle out the front. And at that point we can do something pretty with the door as well, turn it into something funky.
Yeah, it won't be left looking like OSB,
No.
but that's not part of our 5-day build. It was just, we just wanted to get the structure up.
Yeah.
Basically, to get the OSB boards out of the cabin so we can finish working on the cabin walls.
Yeah, so roof on, and then it's kind of waterproof, and it will be there for a couple of weeks while we move to other chores in the 40-day homesteading challenge. A lot of gardening to do before the frosts, and then maybe before Christmas we'll come back and finish the toilet and get it functioning.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I've got to go up ladders now.
You've got to go up ladders now, yeah. On the last day with half a day to spare, what happened?
We were. When I was trying to screw on the green roof panels with the little screws that we used for the roof on the cabin, they just spun round and round, and then we realised that that's because in the cabin we were screwing into battens of wood, so they took, and on here we're screwing into OSB, which is basically just chipboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there wasn't enough purchase, so we had to wait until we could go and buy longer screws, and although I could just about reach to screw into the panel that's above me here, if I'd put the second panel up, there's not enough room on our ladder for me to go up and sort of lean over the edge without falling backwards off my ladder. So we've had to borrow a longer ladder.
So we've got to wait for the new ladder. We've got the screws now.
Yep.
So, and it's a shame really, because we're right at the end of the 5-day toilet challenge for this part. Everything that was on the list was kind of done. Haven't hung the door, but the door is cut to size. We're going to make it out of OSB and then print it up later. So what are we going to call that? We're going to call it a success with a bit of a delay.
I think so. I mean, We got up the floor and the walls and the windows and almost the roof.
Yep.
So that's all we wanted to achieve in 5 days.
Yep. So yeah, I'm pleased with the result, I have to say. Yeah, it's very nice. We've had a lot of rain, which made it difficult at times. We had to keep stopping and starting, but the floor looks lovely. Everything's ready to go. We kind of decided how it's going to look. We bought a new toilet seat, which we'll show you in part 2 of the video at a later date.
Yep. And it feels really solid. You can give it a wobble and it's not going anywhere, and the floor nice and solid.
So I'll just quickly talk you through how we're going to make it look, because it's going to look stunning. So on the outside, on top of the OSB, we're going to shingle it with pallet wood, and then we're going to make a nice door frame and nice frames around the window. And then the door will be made out of OSB, but the front I'm going to panel with very thin cladding to make it look pretty. Then we're going to stain that or wood preserve it all in the same colour, probably the same colour as the golden floor. Inside we're going to have a 3-box structure, in the middle our toilet, and then either side opening from the lid. 2 boxes, one for toilet rolls and one for sawdust for the long drop toilet. And then we're going to paint it blue inside, so it's exciting.
Yeah. Going to look really funky.
So we're going to take a few weeks now of gardening, because we've had a frost and we should have wrapped everything already. So next week's video will be gardening amongst other things. We'll show you how to wrap up bananas. A lot of people have asked about that.
And we've got to pull our pipe up the land, which is going to be a fun job, so make sure we film that as well.
And we've got to finish the gate.
Oh yes.
All of those are on the 40-day challenge.
Yep.
And then after all those things are done and the garden is ready, we'll come back here and carry on with probably what you'd argue is the most exciting part of the toilet build, getting it working.
Making it look nice.
And making it look nice. So look forward to that.
So we're drawing to a close of the 40-day challenge, aren't we?
We are.
I think we've got about 8 days left spread over the rest of this week and next week.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can get done in that time.
And it has been amazing what we've achieved.
Yeah.
I think at the very end, we'll go back and revisit our successes, our failures, if you want to class things like not getting the roof on in time a failure.
And catch up on what we've done and what it looks like now, like the things that we planted a few weeks ago, have they taken, and are the chickens using their perches and things like that.
So before we go, we've had a lot of new subscribers in the last week or 2, so I'd like to thank all of you that are new to joining the channel, and of course all our existing subscribers, and a lot of extra comments, a lot of people asking questions about our various builds, so we do enjoy your comments, but thank you very much for all of those.
And we'll see you again soon.
And we'll see you again soon, next week, from the Wildlands for another episode of the 40-day homesteading challenge. Bye.